Hello and welcome to episode 62 of the DX Mentor, a discussion about the upcoming DXPedition to VU4 Andaman Island. I'm Bill, AJ8B. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. We have a back catalog of over 60 episodes covering many aspects of DX in both podcast and YouTube format. Please check us out. If you're new to DXing, I would really recommend episode 1 as it was recorded with several world-class DXers. You will get a feel of the excitement that goes with chasing DX. If you like what you find, please subscribe, like, and share to always be notified about upcoming podcast and YouTube episodes. Another way to keep in touch and see what we're up to is via the DX Mentor Facebook page. I will be posting about upcoming podcast and YouTube episodes as well as other DX events, so please follow us. You can check the show notes for any of the information that we discussed today. Our guests are Max, ON5UR, Ron, PA3EWP, and Joe, WAGEX. All three are experienced, passionate DXers, and the conversation should be lively and informative. The best description of this upcoming DXPedition comes from Bernie, W3UR. He wrote, "The DX Adventure team is embarking on a DXPedition to the Andaman Islands, which is IOTA designator AS-001, as VU4AX from March 10th to March 20th, 2025. The team consists of 12 experienced operators, will be active around the clock on multiple bands from 10 meters to 160, including the warp bands and 60 meters. They will be using CW, sideband, and digital modes. They will operate 6 stations, transporting 1.15 kilograms of meticulously packed equipment to ensure the best possible operator experience. The DXPedition aims to provide a rare opportunity for QSOs, especially for USA operators, as VU4 ranks number 28 for the USA and number 53 worldwide. The team is supported by 3 experienced pilot stations, W2IRT, Peter, E21EIC, Champ, and ON9CFG, Bjorn. They will closely monitor propagation conditions to maximize the chances of contacts with stations across the United States. Updates and contact details for the pilot stations can be found on the DX Adventure website, which is www.dx-adventure.com. The DX Adventure team looks forward to making QSOs with you from VU4 South Andaman Island. I could not have said it better, and I hope they do a good job because I need them as an all-time new one, and I'll let you know how that turns out. Actually, I'm sure they'll do a good job. Let's learn more about Max, Ron, and the Andaman Islands. So hello and welcome to the latest edition of the DX Mentor podcast, and we are really excited. Joe is here, of course, as always, and we're here to talk about a DXPedition that's coming up very shortly, frankly, about 15 days, so or less by the time you leave. We want to make sure we don't run too long tonight so you don't miss your flight. But I'd like to read this from Bernie, W3UR. This is what he had in his latest newsletter. The DX Adventure team is embarking on a DXPedition to the Andaman Islands, which are AS-001, as VU4AX from March 10th to March 20th, 2025. The team, consisting of 12 experienced operators, will be active around the clock on multiple bands from 10 to 160, including the warp bands and 60 meters, Joe, using CW, sideband, and digital modes. They will operate 6 stations, transporting 1.15 kilograms of meticulously prepared equipment to ensure the best possible experience. The DXPedition aims to provide a rare opportunity for QSOs, especially for U.S. operators, as VU4 ranks number 28 for the USA and number 53 worldwide. The team is supported by 3 experienced pilot stations, W2IRT, Peter, E21EIC, Champ, and ON9CFG, Bjorn. They will closely monitor propagation conditions to maximize the chances of contacts with stations across the U.S. Updates and contact details for the pilot stations can be found on the DX Adventure website, which is dx-adventure.com. The DX Adventure team looks forward to making a QSO with you from VU4 South Andaman. Well, now that y'all heard that, you may want to back out. That sounds very ambitious. So Joe, introduce yourself and let's pass it around.
Okay, well, thanks for being here this afternoon, and I guess close to evening to you guys. I got started 55 years ago, took off as a technician, got hooked on 6 meters, and DXing into the Caribbean back then, and been DXing ever since. Been on 62 DXPeditions, some big, some small, some hot, and none of them were very cold. So thank good for that. So tell us how you got started, Ron.
Oh, okay. I started approximately 40 years ago. I started at a novice license. It was in 1982, and at that time I was only active on VHF, UHF, and somewhere around the end of the latest 80s, I think it was 80s, 88 or 89, I got my HF license, and from that moment I was also starting contesting. There was a local contest station over here in the Netherlands. There was Papa India for Charlie Oscar Mike, and I joined that group. And that group exists now 35 years, and I'm still one of the members over there. And it was always nice to have the pile-ups, and especially in contesting. And at that time I said, I like to be on the other side of the expedition, and going on the expedition by myself. And that time we were with a few operators from Pier 4 COM. We said, okay, let's go. And it was in 1994, our first expedition was a very small one, just for experience. We went to Liechtenstein, HB0. And from that moment on, I got bitten by the bug. And at the moment, I think I've operated now from 64 countries, so around the world. So yeah, from that time, I liked it to go on expeditions. Some years I was only one time a year, sometimes 3 times a year. And yeah, and at the moment I still like doing it. And from home, I'm most of the time now active on VHF on 6 meters, but I'm also active on HF, but there's a little bit less at the moment. But I will continue with that. So
Okay,
that's
great.
yeah, my short history of my amateur radio.
Okay. And your call is Papa Alpha 3 Echo Whiskey Papa, right? EW.
That is right. Yes.
Okay. And we also have Max, ON5UR. So Max, how did you get started?
First of all, good evening, Joe and Bill. Thanks for inviting us. Well, I must say I was very young and I never heard about ham radio. And I was playing with one of my friends in the garden, and his dad was working in his car, and he was installing a CB radio at that time. That was in the very beginning of the 80s. And I was so surprised about what he was doing. And a few minutes later, he was making QSOs with North America. And that is the first time that the virus bites me. So I was so fascinated. I was going home telling my mom I was living alone with my mom, and she was totally not interested in what I was telling. And and then I started saving some money, and a few years later, I did buy my own radio. And later, I started studying to get. I heard about ham radio, and then I started learning about it. And I get my license from 2000. I did also some short trips in Europe, like Ron, and I did like very much that part of the pileup. And I was always interested in the X, not really in local QSOs, but always more in the X, making HF contacts and also contesting. So that is how it starts. And I get my first license in 2000, and the full license I get in since 2001, and I have the call ON5UR, and during the contests, Oscar Radio 1 X-ray.
Okay. So of all the places you've been, Max, which one would you not go back? Are there any you wouldn't go back to?
I would go back to all the countries, but for me the most special one in this moment was Bhutan in 2019. That was a really nice experience. I was there together with Zoro, Champ, Adrian, Champ. So we was there for 2 weeks, and it was a really nice time to be there.
Wow, that must have been amazing. Ron, the same question. You know, have there been any you would not want to go back to, or?
Now, let's say most of them. My opinion is always what I'm saying. If I have been there in that country, I don't go twice to the same country. So that is my point of view. There are many more countries but I never have visited before. So most of the time I go always to another country, not to the same country again.
Okay, Joe, I know you have a favorite you'd rather not visit, right?
Well, I've been, like you guys, I've been all over as well, but I don't believe I would go back to Swains. I thought I was going to die out there, Ron. Yeah. Yeah. That is one tough place.
You know,
Yeah.
Joe pointed out something to me I never thought about. When you're there, you want to stay hydrated, but the water you're drinking is also 90 degrees. I don't care if it's bottled water or not, it's 90 degrees. So you don't really get any relief, right? I never ever thought about that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your team. Either one of you can do this, but it sounds like you got a great team going with you.
Yes, we have 12 operators who are very happy and thrilled to go there. So we have very good CW operators, we have good SSB operators, and we work so hard in the last 2 years on this project that finally everybody now is can't wait to go to jump on the plane Saturday morning or Saturday evening in France. We leave Saturday morning from Belgium to France by car bus, and then we have our flight on Saturday evening.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how what the flight would look like, because looking at the map, I can see you could probably go a couple different ways. So,
yeah, well, we can tell a lot about that because we was normally flying from Paris, from Charles de Gaulle to New Delhi. From New Delhi, we was flying to Calcutta, and from Calcutta, we was flying to Port Blair in Andaman Islands. But about 3-4 weeks ago, we received an email from Air India that the last flight, they give it out to their daughter company, Air India Express. And they send us a mail to tell us that they not want to take 23 pieces of our equipment. So in the last weeks, we had a lot of stress to arrange the things. And believe it or not, but today we did pay the last bill for the extra oversized suitcases, because that was still open. And now we fly from Paris to we did cancel all the tickets. We did buy new tickets, otherwise it was not possible to go in the last moment. So now we fly from Paris to New Delhi, and from New Delhi we fly direct to Port Blair in Andaman Islands.
Wow. That's just a lot you don't think about, right? When I'm sitting in my basement working, I don't think about, I mean, what if you could only get most of the tickets, but not all of them? You know, I mean, wow, what a mess that would be.
Yeah, it was a lot of stress in the last weeks, and I spent hours on the telephone with Air India in France. There were 3 girls who did help us a lot, and they did understand our situation, that the equipment was important, that we had the permission only in March to use the VU4 AX call. So it was a lot of hard work, but finally today, you are the first people who know this.
Oh.
So finally today we can say, yes, we have everything okay, and we can sleep on both ears until Saturday morning.
Okay. So Ron, what kind of weather do you expect there this time of year? Do you know?
I know, yes. This week we have to look for the weather forecast over there, and the temperature will be rising till 40 degrees Celsius. So the same temperature that was on Swains Island.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Really pray for you.
Yeah.
So it will be hot. Yeah.
I didn't realize that. So, and you'll be there, did I see 15 days? Is that right?
No, a little bit less. I think in total we will be there 11 days.
Yes, okay. That's right.
11 days will we be there, yeah.
Okay. And what type of equipment are you taking? Is everybody bringing their own, or do you have pretty much a standard set that you're bringing, or?
No, everybody is bringing their own equipment, but we are standard. The standard is for the expedition is Aircraft K3. So we have 6 K3 radios with us, and also the expert amplifiers, the 1.3 kW.
Good.
So everything is nearly the same for the complete setup.
So you can move operators around and feel comfortable about it, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And then Max, what about antennas? What are you going to be implementing there?
For low bands, we have vertical antennas. We have beverages. We have two pieces of spider beams antennas. And for North America, we make also a VDA that we put especially on one place of the beach in long pad to give more chance to people in North America, because we know it's a very hard path to work North America. And we believe that 15-meter long path is one of the best ways to reach North America.
Okay.
So we will take a lot of attention to that.
Okay, that tells me where I need to be. I've never worked Andaman, so I'm looking forward to it. So
okay,
I need you guys on 6 bands, but I've got you on 15.
So there you go. That kind of proves your point, right?
So that was not good news, Max.
No. But we have also the beam antennas for the other bands as well that we can turn, of course. But the VDA we can put really on the beach. So we are about 60, 70 meters from from the sea. So we can put some verticals on the beach and also the VDA.
Yeah.
So
and I noticed on your website that you'll be on 60 meters, and I've been on 60 meters over here in the States since 2003. And I put out a newsletter, so I'll put your trip in my newsletter.
So how many do you have confirmed on 60, Joe?
157, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 158 is coming.
I think
that's good to hear.
Wait a minute, I think that's wrong, boys.
I think that's low. I think you're in the 200s.
249.
That's what I thought.
So 249 on 60.
That's what I thought.
And you'll be a new one for most people on 60 meters for sure.
For sure.
Yes.
How did you pick Andaman? Is that how you say it? Andaman?
Andaman, yes.
How did you pick that?
We start thinking about it in December 22. We was in 22. We was in Svalbard, Juliet Whiskey Zero X-ray, and we did finished everything. And between the Christmas holidays, we had a video meeting, and we start talking. Let's do something else, and we just start up Club Blog and start to the DXCC list. What is possible? What is not too expensive? Not too far, because all of us are still working, and we cannot go, or not everybody can go away for 2-3 weeks. So and that is how it starts. Then we say, okay, Andaman is on a very nice place in the most wanted DXCC list, and we start searching about it, how we could get the license and so on, and that is how it starts in December 22.
Wow. Holy smokes. Do you have any expectations or criteria? So for instance, if we have a conversation 6 months from now, I ask you, hey, would you consider that DXPedition a success? And you'll say, yes, I do, because, do you have a number of QSOs you want to make? You got there and back safely, which is always important. You got so many folks have a new one in the log. Do you have some idea of what you're going to do in your mind, what you would to make this a success?
Yes, I think we have that. And one of the goals that we have mentioned is to work as many as possible in North America. So that is one of our goals, because it's the most difficult part. Europe and Japan is quite easy. It's not far away. You get big pileups from there for hours. I think Japan, we can work them for 24 hours a day on every band nearly. So that is quite easy. But we have said, no, we will focus on North America to give as many people a new one, because it's very high on the most wanted list. So we said, okay, that will be our main goal. And if we're looking at the QSOs that we will make, I think it will be around the 85,000 till 100,000 QSOs.
Okay.
Depends a little bit on the propagation, of course. And one of the things is, if we are focusing on North America, the QSO rate will drop. because the signals are much weaker than the other signals. So that's for sure. But we have said that is no problem. If you can make a lot of QSOs in North America, give a lot of people over there a new one, then we are very happy. So that will be for us the biggest success.
Okay. And it says digital modes. Are you looking at, FT4, FT8? Are you looking at Super Fox or MSHV, or how are you going to implement that?
Yeah, we will do most of the time we will do FT8, some FT4, and we will use MSHV just in the normal mode. Dus not in the super, not in the Fox and Hound mode, not in the super Fox mode. Gewoon just in the normal mode.
Okay.
Good, good.
And that'll sure make it easier for some of us who may not be able to get over there otherwise. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
How can folks provide financial support? Whether it's, we always encourage our listeners, if everybody who listens sent you $10, that would be several $1,000s, and all of that helps. So how can someone help out?
Yeah, everybody can help us out with every donation will be fine for us. This is not a very cheap expedition, not very expensive also, but we had a lot of oversized and too much luggage.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of we had to pay a lot of money for the airplane company. So that was one of our biggest concern. But if everybody that wants to sponsor us, doesn't matter what kind of money, it helps us.
Okay.
It helps to reduce the cost for the operators each.
And they can go to DX Adventure.
That's right. They can
Okay.
go to our website. There is all the information is there, so it's quite easy to sponsor us.
Sure.
Okay, and I'll put that in the show notes so anybody wants to do that.
Yeah,
Joe,
Max,
did you have a question? Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Max, on your 160 antenna, I guess you'll have it close to the beach and just be a big old vertical?
Yeah, a vertical with elevated radials.
Oh, elevated. Okay.
Okay.
So you thinking that's going to do it for you, Joe?
Well, I hope so, but Ron's got a 1,500 watt amp, so that's going to help.
Yeah, you guys will have to do the heavy lifting, I think.
Yeah.
One of the things we have receiving antennas also, so many receiving antennas. So I'm quite, and that is most of the time is most important that we have good ears, that we can listen and that we can hear the weaker signals also. And I think the 1 kW that we can make on the low bands, that must be enough, especially if the antenna is near the waterline.
So Ron, on your receive antennas, I live out in the country here in the state of Ohio. And so I've got 5 beverages up right now. So what will you have on receive?
We have 1 beverage.
Yeah.
And we have an active receiving antenna system.
Oh.
So we can switch it to all directions.
Yeah.
4 antennas, and we have very good results of it. So we hope that it will work also on VU4.
Yes,
So
I've got one as well, way back in the field, and that's a good little setup.
He can give you his home QTH coordinates if that'll help you aim the beverage,
You know how it is, guys. Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the trends right now is that they've been having these remote operators. But in your case, it's going to be the 12 of you doing the operating, and not this trip, you're not considered anything like that, right?
That's right.
Okay.
We have 6 radios, and we hope that all 6 radios can be operated by 6 operators all the time. So 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So, well, the one thing I found interesting is, do you have someone on your team, Max, who is either considered a doctor or some sort of a medical person? That seems to be really paying dividends for DXpeditions that go places. And I'm just curious. I'm not.
Well, we have good news in that case. PA9M Marcel, he is with us, and he is working in a hospital, and he have a lot of medication, needles, and etc. in his suitcase when there is something happening that he can take care about us. So we give him also permission when something happened or somebody is getting very illness. What he decides is going to happen at that moment. But let's hope we don't need that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you take insurance like that, you don't need it. It's only when you don't have it, right? So
Yeah, that's true.
I'm always amazed when you say, 1.1 kilograms of, I can't imagine how much equipment that is, wires and coax and connectors. And Joe has a great story about barrel connectors. And I think since you've been putting all this together, and this isn't your first trip, so I think you'll appreciate this. Go ahead, Joe.
So I had been on many trips before. I think this was in 2013, but anyway, we're going to Midway, K4M. And of course, we had everything sent out there, all of our antennas and radios and coax and everything. And when we was getting ready to fly from Honolulu to Midway, the plane, we had too many people. So they had to stay back and they came on the next flight the next day. So we're all out there on the island except these two fellows in Honolulu. And we're stretching all of our cables out. And the ones like for 160 were like 400 or 500 feet out, right on the water edge. And we discovered that we did not have one barrel connector, zero. So man, we're really at a tizzy. So we called back to Honolulu to the two boys that we had to leave back, and that was very, very fortunate. And we told them to go to every Radio Shack store, electronic store, if you're not familiar with it, and buy every barrel connector they have. We don't care how many you bring, but buy every one that they have. So they went to all the stores in Honolulu, bought all these barrel connectors, but that was an absolute blessing. Yeah. And most of us on that trip, and I'm sure you guys are the same way, we're very detailed orientated. We want to be sure that we have coax and radios and laptops, and it goes on and on and on. And somehow we missed those barrel connectors. But as it turned out, it all worked out fine. It was an outstanding trip. So be sure you got barrel connectors, Max.
Yes. We have all the connectors on the cables, and we work for a very long time on the package. We have, for example, a document on our computer where we subscribe all the 47 suitcases. We know in suitcase number 1 is the coax, for example, and etc. We know on the list where everything is going. Also, we put on every, for example, on each radio, we put numbers. So to get more time on the air, we can longer on the air, and then when we finished, we can say very easy, okay, that's for suitcase number 1, that's for suitcase number 33, just to take more time on the air. So in that way, I think we are very, very good prepared, because we work with the whole team on it for months. We had our first meeting in November, and we did go regularly to Genk, where all the equipment is together to build up, to test it, and so on. So, but we never know. Maybe some price will be coming in Andaman.
So where will you actually be staying at? The operators that aren't operating, or your operating positions, where are they located?
There is a small resort that we found out. We was looking on Google Maps for a long time, and most of the locations are about around Port Blair. But then we read also that some Indians were there, and that there was a lot of QRM. So we did really searching very close to Google Maps, and we found some small cabins near to the sea, and then we find out on the web that was a resort, and we get in touch with that guy. In the beginning, it was really scary because they never heard about it. He was in the beginning asking, is everything illegal? Can you show me some documents? Finally, he was really happy to see his address on our license, and that we had permission from the government and from the Ministry of Communication.
Okay.
Oh,
We had Krish, W4, don't recall his school anyway, and he had gone to Lakshadweep and then Andaman last December. And the story he told us about Lakshadweep was the next morning his SWR was sky high, and he went out and found out that bootleggers has taken his wire. And I don't know what they were using it for, but they thought he was the police, so he had to kind of explain everything. And after
Yeah.
that, he had no problem. But it's always amazing to me what you all run into. So you're expecting these giant pileups, which I think is correct, right? You're going to have huge pile. So I have a modest station. What hints would you give me, or what techniques would you rely on if you were on the other end to try to get through the pileup?
Oh, that's a very difficult one. Just listen to the operator, what he is saying. If this, let's say, if there's an SSB, I know a lot of operators will say, listening now 7 up or listening now 8 up. So listening is one of the most important things. In the past, it was very, very easy. You could, let's say, if somebody, one of the operators was working up, you could, most of the time, you could find the other station that he was working, and then you could call on the same frequency. But these days, it is nearly impossible. Everybody will call exactly on that frequency because they all have equipment. They see on the band scope where the other station is calling, so everybody will be there. But my own experience is go a little bit higher up in the band, hopefully that it is a little bit quiet. If you're in SSB and the operator is saying listening 5 to 10 up, don't go 5 up, don't go 10 up, no, go in the middle, go somewhere around 6, 7 or 8. But most of the people are always on 5 up or on 10 up and not in between. So that is also one of the things that is very important. Look in SSB to do that. And if this is CW, yeah, try go a little bit to the higher end of the pilot, not in the middle, not in the beginning, because most of the time there's too many stations out there. Try to find a little bit more quieter place to call.
Okay. On sideband, how do you feel about partial calls?
Terrible.
I don't do it, but I had to ask. So because it takes twice as long, right? It takes twice as long now. And go ahead, Joe.
That was a good question, but I lost mine.
Okay. No, so
I'm
on the CWN, one thing I like to try to do is tail ending, where I just kind of in that little space between, is that effective, or is that a waste of time because it's spread out too much?
For me, it's not effective. Most of the time, if I've worked one station, I go immediately away.
Okay.
Turn a little bit up or down, I always go away. I never make 2 or 3 QSOs on the same frequency because this most of the time is too big mess.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Joe, you thought of it.
Yes. So your CW speed, I've always found the Europeans are always excellent CW operators. So what kind of speed do you want to receive?
I think most of the people that are transmitting are around 30, 32 words a minute. That is the average. So, and that is fine for me. That will be okay. But if the band is good open, the signals are strong, it can also be a little bit faster. That's no problem for me. I can go up to 38 words a minute, 40 words a minute. But most of the time, I know people, they are calling around 30 words a minute, and that will be okay for me.
Okay. And in the pileups, like on FT8, for example, well, you'll be running a regular FT8 and not Fox and Hound. So I was going to ask, how will you have your Fox and Hounds set to work up high or up low, close in, far away?
But it won't matter. So
But it won't matter because you're not doing that. I'm sorry.
No, but I know it from the past. I've done a lot of FT8 also from Swains, for example. And what I did in most of the time, what I was working Fox and Hound mode. At that time, there are always one continent that have stronger signals. most of the time what I did, I worked on a lot of them with 5 slots or something like that. And then I go back immediately back to 1 slot and then I can start working the DX.
Yes.
So, and let's say from the Pacific, or in this case from Strange, from Andaman, what I will do first work, let's say, a lot of Japanese, and then I go back to 1 slot because then my signal is a little bit stronger for the DX stations, and then I try to work the DX, and then I avoid all the stronger stations.
So in your research into the United States, working into the United States, is any band better than another?
Yes, but we have noticed for the propagation,
Yes.
I think 160 and 80 will be very difficult for North America. So I hope, I think only the big boomers I think we can work because propagation is not the best at the time. But on the other bands, let's say on 30 meters, 40 meters, 20 meters, 70 meters, it must be quite easy.
Okay.
And 10 meters, 12 meters, 50 meters depends on the propagation.
Sure. Sure.
So let's talk about, Max, what about Club Log? Will you be using ultimately but live stream or anything like that?
We hope so. We have in this moment no idea how the internet connection will be, but we have everything ready. So if the internet connection is strong enough, we will live on Club Log, and we will send also every day our log to the QSL manager, Tim Mike Zero Uniform Romeo X-ray in United Kingdom,
right?
So that he can load it up. So.
I have to admit, I worked Christmas Island in the last couple of weeks, and I had not worked Christmas Island on CW. And, the old days, I had a couple of those not in log cards get sent back to me. And
Yeah.
that is so depressing. It's like, and then they're not going to be back there for 10 years, right? So
yeah,
I have to say, when I saw the live update, I said, oh, I got them. Okay, now I can relax.
Yeah,
I can see it right away. So,
yeah.
Wow,
Okay.
very good. And who will be handling you said OQRS, I guess, right? Club Log. And then what about, are you going to have a physical QSL card then?
Yes, we have the paper QSL cards. We will load it up also on LOTW. So that information is also on the website. So there are different ways to request it. So Tim is a very experienced QSL manager, and he will do a good job in that case anyway.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is another thing that Joe and I talk a lot about is that, when you're done on let's say the 20th, I think, if I'm looking at my notes right, by the time you fly home and everything else, let's just say it's the 23rd or 24th. You're not really done with this DXPedition for 6 or 8 months after that, right? Because you're getting equipment and all the stuff that has to go with it. So this will be a 2-year exercise for you, basically, right?
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. Also, after the expedition, it will take a lot of time because we have to come together again in Genk. We have to spread out all the equipment. We have to clean it. Then everybody have to take his equipment back home, put it in the room or where it belongs. So it will be a long time. Also, after the expedition, we try to make a video about it. That'll take also some time. We will making also a book about it. That will come in the next days also on the website. People who are interested can order it to support us. It will be an A4 size book with 52 pages with a lot of pictures, a little bit about the story, what happening, and so on. So I think it's not finished 6 months after the expedition.
It is so much work, so much work. Joe, did I miss anything?
No, I think you went through all of our questions, Bill.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you took a couple away from me.
Oh,
but
well,
that's okay.
You can ask him again if you think you'll get a different answer. So, Ronald, is there anything you'd like to add at the end here? And just, something I missed or something you'd like to highlight?
No, I think all subjects are I mentioned at the moment. I'm just thinking about it, but no. the people can visit our website for the latest information. I think one of these days, I think tomorrow or something like that, we will send the last press release with all the latest information. Most of the things we already have said over here. So I think everybody can read it on the website. So yeah.
Hey, Max, anything I forgot?
No, not that I believe so. I think we did talk about most of the things. So, like Ron said, we're working on the press release, and we hope to put it tomorrow online, because we had to wait. We were still waiting for the final news from Air India, and we got it finally today. So we are really about that, and no, everything is really okay. Last bills are paid today, so the 7 overweight cases was still a problem, and everything is in good hands now. And we have trackers in the suitcases, so we hope they go with the same flights like we go to Andaman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the stress finding out you had to rebalance all those flights and then hoping you can get. I just that would have been crazy, just absolutely
Yeah.
crazy trying to pull that off. So kudos to you for doing that. That's great stuff.
Yeah, big pleasure.
Well,
So now
gentlemen,
when you see a Bill Nice call or hear it, you can put the call and the face together.
that's right.
Yeah, and say, "Oh my God, that's Bill, that's Joe."
Yeah, okay.
And my hunch is you may see his call a lot more than mine, but that's okay. As long as you see mine once, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I hope we can work you and give you a new one. That
I
would be
hope
nice.
so too. And
Yeah.
I appreciate you fit us in right away. You're literally leaving in a couple of days. So I want to get this out right away and see if we can get some interest. And like to talk to you when you come back and see how things went. That would be a hoot.
Yes.
Okay.
So safe
Okay.
travels to you and good luck. And I'm sure everything you've planned it out. You've done all the right things. So I'm sure you'll have great success.
Okay. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, and thanks.
Have a nice, safe trip, guys, and we'll hope and pray we see you in a pile up.
That's right.
Okay.
I hope
Okay.
We're
so.
looking forward to see you in the pileup. And Joe and Bill, thanks again for inviting us. And we will tell you more about it after the expedition. No
That'd be
problem.
great. And Max and Ronald, thank you so much.
Thank you
Okay.
very much,
Thank you very
guys.
Thank you
much.
so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you found that as interesting as I did. I feel like I have a real chance to work these guys now for number 325. I do have an update that was posted as I was recording the intro to this podcast. Here it is. Quote, the team met at Kyorchik for the start of the VU4AX DXPedition. We traveled by bus towards CDG Paris. Everything went smoothly until check-in. Everyone's documents were carefully checked. Then a problem surfaced with Mark, ON4AMX's visa. Mark was not allowed to check in. In the meantime, the team did everything possible to check in all 47 suitcases. But even that went totally wrong. Despite everything being very neatly organized, it simply went wrong, and the system went down. The long line of waiting people only got longer. Suddenly, we were presented with a new bill for the 7 pieces of oversized luggage. When we pointed out that everything was already paid for, we were told, quote, either you pay or everything stays, end quote. If we wanted to continue, we had no choice but to pay again for the luggage already paid for. Meanwhile, a new visa was being applied for Mark, ON4AMX. Unfortunately, we could not wait any longer and had to move on if we wanted to catch our flight. So, Mark is currently still in Paris and hopes to get his documents in order soon and fly towards New Delhi on a new flight. Sunday morning around 8:15 a.m., we arrived in New Delhi. All the luggage was with us and on the plane, and that was a great relief. Then another very big challenge awaited us as our luggage had to be cleared through customs. With the necessary interventions of the people of Air India, we did get our luggage in order and the necessary stamps on our documents. Meanwhile, we were waiting for our next flight to Port Blair in the Andaman Islands, end quote. You know, it's just another example of the headache that goes with DXpeditions. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the DX Mentor. Without listeners and viewers, there would be no purpose to do this, so thanks. I would like to thank our sponsors, iCom America, the Daily DX, DX Engineering, and the Southwest Ohio DX Association. You won't find anyone more committed to DX than these sponsors. And I would especially like to thank our guests today, Max, ON5UR, Ron, PA3EWP, and Joe, W8GEX. I would love to have your feedback, answer your questions, and provide help with any DX or amateur-related radio issues you may have. If you need clarification on something or you just have a question, please email me at thedxmentor@gmail.com. Please drop me a line if you've achieved an all-time new one, received recognition, or you have a DX event that you would like us to mention. We would be happy to do that. If you are enjoying these DX Mentor episodes, please hit the subscribe button. You can also click like if you found this one particularly interesting. You can follow us on Facebook to get the latest and greatest activities. Just search and follow the DX Mentor. 7-3 for this episode. Thanks to my ex-whale Karen for her love and support. I hope to see you in the pile-up soon.